Hey honey, don't walk out, I'm too drunk to follow. You know you won't feel this way tomorrow. Well, I'm a little rough around the edges and inside a little hollow. And I'm faced with something sometimes that are so hard to swallow. Hey, but I was born a rebel down in Beauty on a Tuesday morning. Of one foot in the grave, one foot's on the pedal. I was born a rebel. I was born a rebel. She picked me up in the morning and she paid on my ticket, said, screamed in the car and let me out in the thicket. Well, I never would have dreamed that her heart was so wicked. I keep coming back, 'cause it's so hard to kick it. Hey, 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 and I was born a rebel down in Dixie on a Sunday morning. One foot in the grave, one foot's on the pedal. I was born a rebel. I was born a rebel. Even before my father's father, well, they called us all rebels. They burn out our crops and they leveled our town. Well, I still feel the eye of those red-coated devils, and I'm walking around tonight through the concrete and metal. Hey, 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 'cause I was born a rebel up in Beauty on a Tuesday morning. I've one foot in the grave, I've one foot on the pedal. I was born a rebel. I was born a rebel. Hey, 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 I was born a rebel. I was born a rebel. I was born a rebel.
If there be but 100 of us remain alive, never shall we under any condition be brought under anybody's idea of a new world order. It is in truth not for honour, nor for glory, nor for riches that we are fighting, but for freedom. For that one thing alone which no honest person would give up, save with life itself. Once we were warrior poets, for now we must stand for peace. But if you hear my voice tonight, you are the resistance, and our time is surely coming. We're using new studio software, as you're aware, and we're slowly getting to grips with it, so hopefully all works well. Looks like I can see the comments, which might not be a good thing, and as long as you can all hear and see me okay, that's good. One of the things that I think I've explained in the past is I really see myself as not anything very much. I mean, Sunday night, Sunday afternoon, our impromptu guest was talking about being in awe of me. No one should be in awe of me. People hate it when I say I'm a nobody, but it's true, I'm a nobody. Long ago, I stopped being a somebody and became a nobody. It's where I'm meant to be. For now. But I've explained in the past that what I forecast, and that's probably the best term I can come up with, is from open source intelligence mainly. And yes, okay, I've got some contacts, but it's mainly from open source intelligence. So when Jane Elizabeth Harris, you're about a fucking hair's breadth from being fucking banned because that's a racist comment. That's all about the IRA saying they want to get the immigrants out. Fuck me, girl. Let's jump to the headline, shall we? We're about to go into nuclear fucking war. I give not one fucking shit about what racist fucks are doing. Capiche? I might have to take the fucking comments away. Or ban people if you don't want to actually hear what's really fucking going on. Fucking IRA on our fucking side. Right, one moment, and I'll again attempt. If fuckwits in the chat will try and restrain themselves from racist fucking comments, open their fucking ears, and have an open mind, I'll try once again to tell you how deep into kimchi we fucking are. I forecast using what I see coming. And most of you, by now, if you've watched this for any length of time whatsoever, know that I am usually 3 to 6 months ahead of the curve. When I tell you something, it's got a strong possibility of happening. By the time the mainstream YouTubers are freaking out about it, it's dialing in to being on target. And by the time mainstream media come in, then we're fucked. And tonight, unfortunately, there's a number of things. Hardly know where to start. I normally start here in the United Kingdom. I'm not going to tonight. I'm going to attempt to explain to you why the meme said empire collapsing, nuclear options uploaded. The recent US, Israel, Iran, the Zion Nazi war against Iran has exposed all the flaws and weaknesses in the US Zion Nazi empire. Pax Americana is well and truly dead. Since the end of the Second World War, when America took the baton from the British Empire, what happened was that with its naval might, the US was able to project power throughout the world in the same way that the British Empire used to be able to project power with its naval might. Also, that incorporated the US having bases, military bases, on the borders of countries that it thought were advocates or enemies. Some 800 or so at present. The same way Britain used to garrison all of its colonies, including Scotland. Now, recent events in the Middle East, combined with everything that was thrown at Ukraine in an attempt to weaken Russia, especially by Joe Biden, but continued by Donald Trump, has shown that the US empire, because the thing was this, it was carrot and stick, it was classic mob tactics, it was a protection racket. If you're allied with us, you do what we say and we protect you. If you're not allied with us and you do what we don't like, then we've got a big stick, which is an aircraft carrier strike force that will pitch up off of your coast and bomb the fuck out of you. Now, what Iran has shown is that 20th century tech is now defunct. In the recent Zion-Nazi war against Iran, the US systematically stripped first its Middle East allies, the so-called GCC countries, of their Patriot and THAADs, and then they started going further afield. They went to the Eastern Pacific, and they began to strip their allies in Taiwan and Korea, South Korea, and the Philippines of the assets that had been slowly built up there over a number of decades because of the pivot to China. You see, if all had gone well, starting from 2001 and George W. Bush's war on terror, they'd have taken down all the unfriendly Middle Eastern countries, including Iran, long before now. And they would have put everything, they have put everything into trying to fragment Russia to allow them to pivot towards China. But now they have become so covered bare in terms of what they thought were their magical Western technological super weapons, their ATACMS, their HIMARS, their air defences, their iron domes. The cupboard is so threadbare that they've had to strip all of their allies of all of their defences to try and protect Israel. That has led to Taiwan knowing that it cannot count on the US to protect it in a military confrontation with China. Not that China was ever likely to have a military confrontation with Taiwan as long as the US kept its fucking nose out. China was quite content to await the inevitable reconciliation with Taiwan that is going to happen now much faster. Japan is likely to be kicking out the US before too long, but I'll come back to Japan because Japan is signing its own death warrant, just like another island nation that I might be part of. Korea. The giant Oompa Loompa has been, well, what can we say, vacillating over Korea recently, insulting its ally in South Korea and kissing up to Kim Jong-un. They've stripped Korea of its ability to defend itself with Harp, Thad, Ikt, Al to protect Israel. And South Korea, who saw the writing on the wall, if you remember the coup that happened just before, they used to, David, it's all changing, just before the current president of South Korea was installed, the previous president tried to enforce martial law. He saw this coming. Now, South Korea has a very stark choice. North Korea is far stronger than it ever was or people realize. It has received a lot of technical help from Russia and China, and its army has been bloodied in Ukraine. Technically in Russia, in Kursk, but that doesn't matter. It's got combat experience. It's up to speed with drone warfare. It's been making incursions across the DMZ. So, pardon me, South Korea can either go for rapprochement with North Korea and unite the Korean Peninsula, finally put an end to the Korean War, because that's not ended, it's just an armistice. And that's likely, more likely to happen than not. Indonesia and the Philippines can likewise see which way the wind's blowing. And whilst they have substantial military assets of their own, they also know America will not protect them if push comes to shove. So they're having to rethink their allegiances. The last move was, with all the trouble upon the USS Lincoln, they have had to pull the George Washington from the Eastern Pacific for the first time in decades. PACOM does not have a aircraft carrier strike group which would be used to defend Korea or Taiwan. They do not have an aircraft carrier strike group. David, I'll get to that. In the Eastern Pacific. The Eastern Pacific now is the hunting ground of China and Russia. They say China does not have a blue sea ocean navy. Rubbish. Chinese fishermen and their fishing flocks in their thousands have been blue sea now for decades. Do you not think their navy can learn a thing or two from them? Russia certainly does have a blue sea navy, and Russia and China together are starting to exploit the northeast passage. Russia and China have ice-breaking ships, nuclear powered, which can transport marine cargo ships through the top of the world across Russia into Europe. That saves months of time in shipping. Now, those bases, those US bases in the Pacific are suddenly extremely vulnerable. So we come to West Asia or the Middle East. The American blockade is paper thin. At any moment, Iran could decide to change the scenario there and to take out, if not the aircraft carrier, because they don't need to take out the aircraft carrier. Why take out an aircraft carrier? Take it out and you risk a new Pearl Harbor. Put a couple of missiles through its flight deck and all it is a floating bunch of steel that can do nothing. Capiche? But they can decide to interdict the paper-thin US naval blockade anytime they want. And indeed, they have said that as far as they're concerned, especially with the ending of the 60-day MOU, they're unrestrained from doing anything they want. Forget anything Trump says, because most of the world does now. Just fucking ignores the cunt. He is blabbering such shit. The US is using the last of its soft and hard power to get some of the GCC countries to get in line. We saw a false flag attack on the UAE. They claimed 2 ballistic missiles were fired from Iran. Didn't happen. But the UAE, under the orders of Scott Bessent, used that as an excuse to cut off all economic and diplomatic ties with Iran. Where previously they had been transporting literally pallets of cash and gold to Iran to stop Iran from blowing them off the face of the fucking map. Oman, having reached an agreement with Iran over how the Strait of Hormuz would be managed, the giant Oompa Loompa is now promising to bob the shit out of. His words, not mine. The Chinese Navy, I told you on Sunday, is en route to the Gulf. Iran continues to interdict any shipping it wants going in and out of the Gulf. The Ansarallah, the so-called Houthi, they are interdicting any shipping in the Bab el-Mandab. Both America and Iran used the 60-day pause to restock, but Iran's well ahead of the game. Iran has a new tactic. They're not going to wait for America or Israel to strike. They are going to preemptively strike. And that means Qatar, who was bitching that they have no revenue because they're not selling any gas, and no gas, 20% of the world's natural gas is not getting out. Qatar could cease to exist. The UAE could cease to exist. Kuwait will cease to exist. No ifs or buts. That's why their fucking king and royal family have fled. The Mecca Accords are because Saudi at least wants to remain a viable fucking country. But make no mistakes, Iran has and does have the capacity to wipe out all energy infrastructure in the Gulf, all energy infrastructure in the Gulf, and all desalination plants in the Gulf, and make the Gulf unlivable for millions of people. Which is why Jordan is desperately trying to sign up to the Mecca Accords. With me so far, without wanting to say anything racist. Because if these things come to pass, the human flow of people from North Africa, the Gulf, will be a tide which will overrun Europe, which is on its fucking ass anyway. But I'll get to that. So we get to Israel and what it's doing. And you can forget the fact that its Nazi bastards are consistently bombing the fuck out of Lebanon, consistently bombing the fuck out of Gaza. How Smotrich wants to kill at least 40 to 50 Gazans every night because they're not even human, don't you know? Israel is getting ready for a Nakba Part 2 in the West Bank. The IDF forces are besieging Christian villages like Taiba. Settlers are besieging individual Palestinian homes. Where they think they're going to force the Palestinian population to is beyond anyone's comprehension. The original Nakba led to the Palestinians preeminently going to Lebanon and Jordan and Syria. There is no place in Lebanon or Jordan or oh, Gary, Don, that's good. Keep your fucking language down or you'll be banned. There is no place in these countries for the Palestinians. Netanyahu is floundering in the ongoing Israeli elections. And so, he's weighing up one of two options. Neither one is good. A full-on assault on the West Bank designed to drive out what's left of the Palestinian population there, coupled with an attack on Al-Aqsa Mosque. An attack on Al-Aqsa Mosque would literally bring the entire Muslim world on top of Israel's head. We are dealing with lunatics here, you need to understand this. For the folks on Rumble, here's what you need to understand. Up to now, I've allowed you to be on there. The minute you think that you can say you're racist shite and get away with it, that's fine. I'll simply stop broadcasting to Rumble and then you're fucked. Capiche? Don't test me. Just don't test me. Israel have also just bombed Syria. Except they've not just bombed Syria, they've attacked Turkish forces in Syria. And Turkey, who we all know, Erdogan flimflams, Turkey is getting to the point of going, enough, enough. So, Turkey may decide to take a hand in this game too. The entire region is a tinderbox waiting to go up. Now, into that mix, we have the giant Oompa Loompa. Marjorie Taylor Greene, her information coming from Joe Kent, who is still connected, tweeted out that the Trump administration was seriously considering a nuclear attack on Iran. And now the mainstream YouTubers are freaking out about that. Not because Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted out that that's what the Trump move to Camp David last weekend was all about. The fights between him and Hexeth, him and Vance, him and even Dan Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. The talking heads in Washington are out there normalizing the idea of the use of a tactical nuclear weapon. Now, the big names in YouTube land have started to freak out. And quite rightly. You see, there is only two potential ways in which the use of any nuclear weapon in Iran might be effective. and neither one is good. Now, the first and easiest is, oh, by the way, Turkey A said that they're quite prepared to shoot down Israeli jets over Syria now. We'll see if that happens. But Trump's first option for a nuclear strike. You see, let me be quite plain as I move on here. The world's two largest nuclear superpowers are both imminently contemplating the use of nuclear fucking weapons. Have I got your attention yet? Trump's two options are to load, and Glenn's the weapons expert. I see him in the comments, he'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's the B-61, which is a nuclear weapon that can be strapped onto an F-18, an F-22 or an F-35. It's called a tactical nuke. There's nothing tactical about it. It's a fucking nuclear bomb, for fuck's sake. It's called tactical because you can dial the yield. Anything from about 5 to 6 times what was used at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and down to slightly under what was used at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The target is Pickaxe Mountain, where they believe Iran now has its nuclear program, including the nuclear dust that Donald likes to talk about. Will Trump attempt to use bunker busters on B-52s to open a hole in Pickaxe Mountain, to which an F-35 or 2 will attempt to drop a tactical nuke into? These bases were built to withstand just such attacks. If he tries that option, the best that's going to happen is they'll blow a chunk off the mountain, they'll turn some of that granite into fucking glass, but high into the atmosphere will be spread nuclear material which will find its way rapidly around the world. Within days of that happening, that radiation is going to be falling on pasture and crops and grass near you. Within a week of that, the milk you're buying at the supermarket is going to have radioactive elements. I'm not guessing. I know what happened when there was an accident at Chernobyl. I know what happened when there was an accident at Fukushima. But they might decide to do it anyway, to play on the winds, to play God, to hope that, keep your fingers crossed, the wind keeps blowing in the right direction and it will all be okay. The second option, and this is the one, now Anthony Alvarez, he thinks the first is what they'll do. I don't. I think Trump likes the cinematic fucking win. Here's what I think they're getting ready to do. They will attempt some big old brazen air assault against pickups. They'll try to insert a Marine Expeditionary Unit, or perhaps the airborne troops, or perhaps a combination of both, with their job to secure either an entrance or an air vent to Pickaxe Mountain, into which they would send a stripped B-61 as a demolition nuke, hoping to drop it deep enough into the mountain for it to become an underground nuclear explosion, capiche, therefore contain the radiation, but hopefully do enough damage to wipe that underground base out. Trump can then declare once more he's wiped out Iran's nuclear capacity, and he hopes, they hope, that by the use of a nuclear weapon they will deter Iran from responding militarily and get Iran to come to the table and say, whatever you want, Big fucking Don. Which won't happen. Once that nuclear genie is popped out of the bottle, once that Pandora's box is opened, there is no going back. And Russia and China will act accordingly. The United States and Israel will immediately become pariah countries to the entire fucking world. And you can kiss the petrodollar bye-bye. No cunt's going to want to deal with the United States with anything, and it won't matter even if you get rid of the giant Oompa Loompa. This would put a stain on America for generations to come. Exactly, Glenn, exactly. I don't have time to explain the forlorn hope, but exactly. Perhaps you'll do it on Sunday or in your show on Friday. So that's the situation as I read it in the Middle East. And now we turn. And I won't even get time to get on to the climate or the crop failures. Crop failures. Oh, who told you that was happening? Who told you there'd be a food crisis? But now, again, the big YouTubers and mainstream media are starting to tell you. So now we move on to this United Kingdom. I have told you for years now that we are up to our fucking heads and over in everything going on in Ukraine. That the attacks deep into Russia were all ours. The drones that were attacking the shipping, the drones that were attacking deep into Russia, ours, British. Well, it's one thing for me, a fucking no cunt from nowhere, to be saying it on a barely listened to podcast. When the Telegraph and the Sunday Times start printing articles saying that it's British drones which are being used to strike deep into Russia, that's a different thing. That's a full-on national admission of compliance and guilt, which is why we've had Putin and Lavrov come out and say that the UK must now be ready to take the consequences of becoming a co-belligerent in the Ukrainian war. Now listen to my words very carefully. Russia is legalistic. Britain just handed Russia the legal mandate it needs to attack British assets. Capiche? Andy Burnham just appeared on television, the unelected UK Prime Minister. Not elected by you, the people of Great Britain, not elected by even his own Labour Party. The unelected Prime Minister of Great Britain just appeared on British television, and when he was asked about what the Russians were saying, said, "We stand with Ukraine to the end. We'll give Ukraine all the material it needs to defend itself." Had on, Andy. Some weapons are defensive, like air interceptors, which you don't have any fucking of, mate. And some are offensive, which isn't defense. That's an attack. That's an unprovoked attack on a country that you claim not to be at war at. But the Russians know the difference. The Russians know the difference. So Andy Burnham just de facto declared war on Russia. And Russia is taking it very fucking seriously. Now, the thing that the UK, which in this case boils down to the City of London, is really worried about, is that Russia now is apt to go after UK maritime interests. And that means Lloyd's of London is about to go out of fucking business. Lloyd's of London, which has been insuring British ships, British naval vessels, and the world's fucking merchant fleet since the time of the East India Company, is about to go out of business. Why? Because Russia will go after every fucking ship insured by Lloyd's of London. That's why Britain suddenly wanted a hotline to Russia. That's why Britain is suddenly a bit fucking, oh, please don't. We were only playing by taking those Russian vessels, that shadow tanker fleet. Oh, we really didn't mean it, Mr. Putin. Putin's like, fuck you. Putin right now is convening, and I mean right now, is convening an emergency meeting of the Russian Security Council. And just to put a little cherry on the fucking cake for you, for the last 2 days, the European NATO and Europe, lunatics, Nazi lunatics, do you not get that if America was not willing to protect the GCC states, is not willing to protect Korea or Taiwan or the Philippines or Japan, there is no chance that the giant Oompa Loompa is going to protect fucking Europe. Capiche? But the Europeans have decided, in the words of the Clash, there's a show of force here today with the Boys Brigade. Because for the last 2 days, they have been launching a massive air campaign with F-35s, AWACS, etc. around Kaliningrad. Oh yes, once again, who told you years ago that would be the flashpoint? The Polish troops are amassing on the Suwałki Gap. George Galloway, where'd you hear that from, son? Having said that Britain is now a co-belligerent, Russia has to put up or shut up. You see, Lavrov has long been restrained. The fact that he is now set on the loose, that should worry you. He summoned the Japanese ambassador and dressed him down because China will wipe Japan off the fucking map if Japan tries to remilitarize. Russia has the UK and Germany in its sights. France has nukes, but the French position has always been, and they've been open about, when would France use its nukes? Well, maybe if the Russians were in the Rhine. France wouldn't dare use its nukes against Russia. Britain might try. One, they need American permission to fire Polaris. That won't be given. Two, whatever else we have, chances are, might not work, even if it gets that far. Russia is going through the stages. It's legalistic. So, the Security Council will now meet, and it's deciding whether to officially name Britain as a co-belligerent in the war in Ukraine. If it does, the Russian Duma will pass that in short order. So the very war that the British Ministry of Defence has been longing for might just be right round the corner. Hallelujah. And in Ukraine, the blockade of Odessa continues. Tonight is going to see one of the biggest air campaigns against Ukraine since the war began. Russia now has jet-propelled drones that no one can interdict. and they can fly thousands of miles. Oh, yes, Sweden, you might be in a lot of trouble. Baltic, sure fucking, right now you're gone. Poland, Moldova, don't even think about it. Because that's why Russia has allowed 50,000 North Korean troops. Initially, to hold Russian borders, to free up the Russian troops, which are going to be used on the front lines. Russia's making major advances in the Kharkiv direction. The fortress cities in Donbass are virtually encircled in a cauldron. Russian forces are also making major advances in the Zaporizhia direction towards Odessa. The Nabu and Sabu are now openly talking about the deep corruption within Zelensky's presidential office and are arresting presidential deputies. Fedora, whatever his name is, the Ukrainian defense minister that Zelensky sacked, came out yesterday saying that Ukraine imminently needs new elections. Their Duma now has to decide whether he should be reinstated or a new defense minister put in place. Either way, all they're doing is rearranging seats on the deck chairs on the Titanic, because the people of Ukraine in all their major cities are rising up against the Nazi Zelensky regime. I've said since the start of this year that this year would be the year we saw the use of nuclear weapons. And I wish to God I was wrong. But it's alright. Let's all just be racist bastards. And it's not that immigration's not an issue. It's part of their plan to bring you down. It's part of their plan for the great fucking reset. And Israel hates Europe. Hates Spain, hates the UK. That's why they're using Stephen fucking Yaxley, Lenin, to stir up this shit. But in the face of the potential use of nuclear weapons, it's less than meaningless. Alex, I don't even know if it's worth doing, but I did bring you to have the things I've shared on Twitter. Let's just throw up some of them, and you read the headlines if you would, because I don't think I can see them clearly enough, and I'll stop you and buy you. if I see something. Yes, David. Unmute yourself, Alex. That will help. We can hear you, yes. Yep. Yep. I'll forget that one. No, no, forget that one. Oh, no, dandelion root, by the way, folks, cures cancer. There we go. Um, Something I've known for a while, but I just thought I'd share it with people. Go on, Alex. Yep. Oh, hold on, Alex. Um, we need to. Oh, I'll try to do this. Is that? Yes. Okay. No. There you are. People weren't hearing you. I could hear you. So maybe go back to the beginning and just quickly do a recap. Because they'll see
Okay.
the images. If they can't hear what it is, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Turkey may potentially launch its first retaliatory strikes on Israeli assets in Syria, Iraq, and Lebanon in exchange of IDF's bombing of Turkish assets in Syria. Netanyahu sent a chilling message to the Arab world today. Arabs don't take initiative, we do. We will attack any country at any time. We are the attacking side. We are the initiating side. The Russian army targeted a cargo ship in Odessa port with Iranian drones. Russia has launched what is being described as one of its most dangerous attacks yet against Ukraine tonight. Through the roar of missiles, Moscow sends a message to the world. Russia does not fear threats. Russia responds. The Death Court has started a war on Turkey. They had even announced that Turkey is next after Iran. Sunny NATO, Mecca pact, anyone? From US weapon to Iranian trophy, America reportedly brought one of its largest bombs to Isfahan. The operation failed. The bomb ended up in Iranian hands. North Korea, the North Korean leader's sister, threatens Japan with an immediate and devastating strike if it attempts military expansion. Break-in, an emergency meeting has been called by President Putin. President Vladimir Putin has summoned top Russian officials for an urgent meeting at the Kremlin. All eyes are now on Moscow. The next 48 hours could be critical for the world. The Epstein syndicate ordered Abu Dhabi to cut off all trade finance with Iran. Iran did not unleash a couple of missiles against the UAE. That's a false flag. Abu Dhabi was even searching an accommodation with Tehran, as confirmed by Pakistani mediators. The UAE is Iran's second largest trade partner behind China. Iran will go on the offensive very soon. No more strategic patience. The Epstein syndicate ordered the UAE to position itself right in the line of fire. Foreign Minister Lavrov, I feel sorry for the UK if it is to stand with Ukraine until the very end. We have the right to regard the announced involvement of British forces in strikes against Russia as participation in the war, with all the consequences that entails.
That'll do, Alex. That will do. And that's just from X. I'm over several other channels of communication. What can I say? I only call balls and strikes, as they say. Things could go south very rapidly. Just be aware. They are too far gone, and by they I mean the Zion-Nazis, I mean the European leaders, I mean the Zion-Nazis combination of the Oompa Loompa and Netanyahu. They are far too deep in the hole not to go with the gamblers' forfeit. The gamblers' forfeit. I've never been a gambler, at least not for a long time, and that's a story for another day. I won too much, you see, one night when the Turkish mob didn't like it and I barely got out. But the gambler's fallacy is, once you're in the hole that deep, you keep rolling the dice, because all you need is that one big win to set it all right, and it never ever works. And there's so much more that I could say, which is why come Sunday, when we've got a bit more time, we are going to be talking about the depopulation agenda. One of the things which has haunted me most of this year is the Deagle report. Now, people came late to the party with the Deagle report. I'd known about it for over a decade. And I'll give you the highlight. The Deagle report was all about gross national production and blah de blah de blah and Western populations. And just like the Georgia Guidestones, the Deagle report said in 2026 there would be mass die-offs across the Western world. The Deagle report wasn't just some throwaway website, wasn't a conspiracy website. It was a website used by governments for government planning, including Agenda 2030. Because Deagle was a person, his name was Edward Deagle, and he was a statistical genius, and he was an advisor to the Pentagon and to several White House regimes over decades. Deagle foresaw something this year, and we're not out of the year yet. This year, which was going to drastically reduce the population of the Western world. Craig Murray. Maybe if you'd stood with me a few years back in Edinburgh, maybe if a few of the others that are now screaming about Scottish sovereignty had stood with me a few years back in Edinburgh, Scotland would be independent and we wouldn't have nukes in our country. Too late. Dollar short, day late. Sort of shit. It is what it is. Still hoping to have a holiday. I'll be back, God willing, next Wednesday with another Smoke 'em if you have them briefing. Glenn will be back on Friday with The Man in Black. Always worth listening to. We'll be back on Sunday with a octopus and the depopulation agenda in the afternoon. And on Sunday evening you'll have Last Jacobites International. The girls do a great job. What can I say? I can't even. It is what it is, people. It just fucking is what it is. So now, do me a favour. I'm over time. Fuck it off. And see you soon. I see a bad moon rising. I know there's trouble on the way. I see the earthquakes and lightning, and I see bad times ahead today. Don't come around tonight, it's bound to take your life. There's a bad moon on the rise. I hear the hurricane blowing. I know the end is coming soon. I fear those rivers overflowing. I hear the voices breaking ruin. Don't come around tonight, it's bound to take your life. There's a bad moon on the rise. I hope you got yourself together. I hope you're all prepared tonight. Looks like we're in for stormy weather. Wonder what you've been thinking about tonight. Don't come around tonight, it's bound to be a fight. There's a bad moon on the rise. Don't come around tonight, it's bound to take your life. There's a bad moon on the rise. There's a bad moon